Hello my friends, welcome back to another tutorial, another little painting lesson. I hope you're all keeping very well out there. This week I'm going to paint, it's actually a commission, it was requested, and it is a Ballycotton Lighthouse in County Cork, down here in Cork, in Ireland. If you haven't seen, do visit, it's a beautiful spot, beautiful part of the world. I have a beautiful photograph here, lovely colourful photograph. So a little lighthouse on top of a cliff with an ocean, lots of rocks, a little bit of spray, something nice and colourful. So I think you're going to enjoy this one. I'm doing this on a big canvas now. It's a 16 by 20 canvas, a stretched canvas. I primed it once with just a regular white undercoat, or you can use gesso as well if you like. I like to do that just to stop the dryness of some of the canvases. They can be very dry and they soak in the paint. I normally do just give it one coat of a primer or some kind of an undercoat. It just helps the paint stay wetter for longer on the canvas, and you can blend a lot nicer as well. It's far nicer. You should try it just once and see if you don't believe me. Okay, without further ado, let's paint. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be a nice colourful seascape with a little lighthouse perched up on the top of the cliff. Don't go anywhere, I'll be right back. Alright, let's go. This is my canvas, my colours. I'll tell you what colours I have today. Titanium white, cadmium yellow, Naples yellow, magenta, phthalo blue, burnt umber, burnt sienna, cadmium red and lamp black. There's a photograph. I think that's beautiful. Look at the beautiful sunlight being cast across that land. It's lovely, isn't it? So I'm going to start with a couple of lines. Let's put a couple of lines in here. One like that. We'll go, let's start with the top here. The top where the lighthouse comes into play, and come along and down like that. I'm just being careful now, I don't want to go down too. With a couple of wiggles like that. Then we have another piece that kind of comes out like that, don't we? Then we have this kind of rock that comes up, which is really catching the light, by the way. This rock that comes up like that, it comes over, there's a dark spot there. So you can see now how I'm just kind of making this all very loose. Okay, just very loose. I'm not going into huge amounts of detail for this. Right, so I think this might need to be a little bit lower down like that. We can forget about that line up there. And we can forget about the lighthouse. We can put all of that in later, okay? The line of our cliffs kind of comes across like that, doesn't it? And very up and down, that kind of thing. There's a little bit of a rise and a dark spot in here. So that'll be dark. This will be dark down here. And I think that's it. I'm going to pop a little bit of masking tape just across my little small tiny horizon line over there. So I'm going to go up about, let's say around here, okay? I'm going to go fairly high with this. There we go. And we are done. Let's start painting. Enough chit chat. Let's just grab a brush and have a bit of fun. And I am actually going to put some linseed oil on that sky, because I want it to blend nicely together. I don't want to be kind of pushing paint along with my brush and trying to force it across the canvas. I want it to just glide across the canvas nicely. So a little bit of tissue paper or something like that. Grab a little bit of linseed oil. And you can use a bit of thinners for this as well now if you like. It will do pretty much a very similar job. The thinners on its own might kind of soak in fairly quickly. But the linseed oil, it tends to just kind of sit on the surface and create a lovely oily surface on which to work. Now you can use a little bit of liquid clear as well, absolutely. I get a lot of questions about liquid white. I'm not a fan of liquid white, I'll be honest, because I find with liquid white is you lose the vibrancy of your colour. So when you're putting a rich blue on top of a liquid white, it's going to kind of soften the blue, isn't it? So it's not going to be as rich. Let's start now mixing a nice warm, soft, kind of a mauvey blue, I'm going to say. A little bit of phthalo blue, a little bit of magenta, and plenty of white. That's a nice mauve kind of a colour now, isn't it? But I'm going to make this quite thick now, a nice thick creamy colour. I don't want it too thin. I want this to sit on the canvas and cover the canvas really well. Okay, let's have a look. That might actually do for the lower part down here because it's slightly lighter in colour. So look, if it's lighter, I might as well use it for here. Isn't that right? Let's come across here and put that shade in across there. I'm just going to dry my brush now because there's still a lot of thinners in this part of the brush. Okay, so I just dried my brush and I'm going to just, you see how that's gliding across the canvas very nicely. It's just wonderful, it really is. It's just the most wonderful kind of texture, you know, when you're painting on linseed oil like this. It really does just give you a fantastic feeling, a lovely soft feeling. I'm going to go up now and just keep popping this colour along. You could almost kind of really cover the entire sky really with this colour and then add in your clouds. Let's just take a look now because we have a lot of cloud up there. I'm going to maybe lean more towards a phthalo blue and white. See, I'm getting nice and thick now with the colour there. I'm going to put that down here. And I'll grab the tiniest bit of thinners just to thin it slightly, because remember, when you take up some white, it gets very, very thick again. So if I'm grabbing a lot of white with my brush, I will take the tiniest little bit of thinners as well. I'm just going to pop this very light blue across, the nice warm blue, across the sky like that. We have a lot of cloud up in this side, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's just bring that on down and soften all the colours together. You can use a soft blender brush for this if you like as well. I'm just going to use this brush, I think it's fine. I just want to get rid of the brush strokes a little bit, okay? I'm not too worried. Now, there we go. Clouds. Let's keep it nice and simple, but rich and vibrant. I'm going to take some phthalo blue. I can see there's a lot of phthalo blue in the clouds up there, isn't there? With a touch of magenta. So for example, you see this big cloud here. It's very rich, deep blue, isn't it? I think a little touch of magenta again. And that's really the process of my painting. Maybe a touch of black, tiny touch. I put a colour on and I look, and if I think it looks a bit too cool, I will adapt it to suit. So I'm going to try this colour, maybe a bit more magenta in there. It's a very rich, there's a bit of a nice pink going on in there. There's a rich blue. And again, I'm not going to try and copy this exactly, but certainly a lot of the colours are really striking. I'd like to get them in, if you know what I mean. This is very sort of loose and sort of, you know, kind of higgledy-piggledy kind of, you know, just popping in and just a bit of a dab here and there, that kind of effect. I'm not going to try and make this exactly the same, but I will try and capture that feeling that's up there. Okay, go along like that. This one can soften down. Again, I might go for a bit of cadmium red. And I might try popping a little bit of cadmium red in there. Now that might be a little bit dull. I think cadmium red might be a little bit on the dull side. So I might stick with magenta. Take a bit of that blue, a bit of magenta in there. I'm going to kind of soften this down. I'm just going for a certain effect. You see, I'm kind of scraping my brush up, certain effect. It just, you know, try different things. Just don't be afraid. Just go ahead and try them. It's only paint. What's the worst that can happen? It's only a bit of paint. A couple of loose ones here on their own, just one or two. Okay. Right, I'm going to dry my brush quickly. I want to pick up a nice bit of magenta and a tiny touch of cadmium red. And I'm going to go for that rich pink just here. Okay, that's a nice rich pink. I might try that again. Some magenta, a tiny touch of cadmium red. We get that nice rich pinky shade. There's another one up there. So it's softening into the blues then that's already there, you see. So that's what I like about oils. You can soften the colours together, you see. So you get these nice soft tones throughout. I'm going to pick up some magenta separately with some white, and I'm going to take a touch of Naples yellow, and that will just warm that magenta, give that lovely, you see, that lovely warm feel, but a kind of a light, highlighted feel to the colour. Go down, just soften this up in here, just kind of having a bit of fun. Clean the brush again. I'm conscious of cleaning my brush just because I don't want to be kind of mixing up shades too much. And a bit of white, magenta, white, a bit of Naples yellow, and we pop some nice bright-ish kind of clouds here and there, because I just want to suggest catching the light from the sun over on the right hand side, and it's just catching a lot of light, which is lovely, by the way. A little bit here. Put a little bit there. Again, give the brush a little wipe on some tissue just in between when you're doing this. It just keeps your colours a little bit more fresh, shall we say. I have a lovely, rich, warm colour, which I want to try and get as well. Maybe put a little bit of that up there as well. Just having some fun with this now, that's all. I'm just having a bit of fun. What I might do is go with Naples yellow, bit of magenta, and it's a lovely warm pink. And I might just go up here and give that a dab of that warm pink, okay? And a little bit of it there. And I want to darken just that cloud up there then. I want to get that nice and dark, get that rich deep purple, phthalo blue, lots of magenta, and I want to go up and just get that nice deep colour in there, okay? And then gently, just gently soften it through. And we'll go a little bit over here as well. Maybe a bit more magenta, because the pinks really kind of jump out on this, don't they? I think the pinks in this sky, they really jump out. Now I'm going to stop, get my soft blender brush, okay, and I'm going to just start softening colours together, particularly down at the end. I want this to disappear down into the horizon, like that. And then as I come up, I'm going to just kind of catch the colours and swing them around in little circles. That creates a nice effect, doesn't it? Let's try this one up here. Let's start with a lighter colour so we don't get a dirty kind of a canvas. Start with the lights. And we soften them along and then go into your darks. Soften them across into your darker shades. Getting that nice movement. I'm going to drag this side up just to get some nice movement up there. And how's that? That's quite a nice sky, isn't it? I think that's quite nice. You see how when you put the blender brush on, it just transforms your sky, doesn't it? It really does. I think I'll take my masking tape off. And we have a lovely clean line. I think we should start putting in the water. I think if I got the water in, we could then focus on this big area. So the water is pretty simple. It's just a little bit of phthalo blue. There's a hint of a turquoise far off. So I might take a touch of Naples yellow and then some white. maybe the tiniest touch of magenta, just to give it a little warmth. Let's try that. Okay, that's good. Let's get a nice straight line. Then fill that in. As it comes down, I'm going to start picking a bit more blue and soften it up. Bit more blue again. And we'll worry about highlights and things later. Don't worry about all that kind of stuff. I just want to get the colour filled in. Then I'm going to take some white and phthalo blue. Then it just starts getting nice and sort of bright. I'm going to pop some white in along this as well. So let's get some more white now and just lighten it. It's a very light colour in here, isn't it? It gets very light. And just fill all that in, get the white of the canvas covered. And once that's done, we can concentrate then on kind of lights and putting colour into it. But at least I know now my canvas, the white of the canvas is covered. So that is not too bad so far. And we just want to get a little bit of sort of texture through all of this. So what I would suggest is I'm going to try my flat palette knife. And I think I'll go for some darks first. I think I'll try some phthalo blue with some white, touch of magenta perhaps. Maybe a tiny touch of black. It's just really to get a bit of, you know, look, we don't want it just flat like this. We want a little bit of kind of light and shade going through this. So let's just go here and there and just pop a little bit of that, scraping it with the edge of the knife. Here and there. We take a bit more blue. And again, a bit more magenta. Just give that a good mix up. Don't be shy. Get that on the edge of the knife. I'm just going to kind of scrape it along here and there. Just, you see, it just gives it that little touch of texture. And again, I'm just going to be kind of playing around with the colour now until I get what I want. So again, you know, you could be adding little touches of black or anything like that. Just mess around with the colours and try just to have a bit of fun with it. Okay, we have a little bit of darkness there, a little bit of dark there. Let's go up here. We have a nice little bit of a dark in around where the bottoms of the cliffs. And I'm going to kind of feather that off now into the distance, leave it disappear like that, off into the distance very gently, like so. So yeah, we're making slow progress. This type of painting, you know, you take your time. It's a slow progress, not something that just happens immediately. You just go along and you add colours, and you know, if it's not working, you take some off or you add more. I'm going to go into some white now, and I'm going to come over here and just start dragging some white with my palette knife across. Again, you see, just creating some movement. I am going to be adding some kind of splash up on the rocks as well. It's not in the photograph, but I think a little bit of splash up around the rocks would make a huge difference, don't you? Just a bit of movement in the painting. Okay, there we go. That's the bottom part. We'll add a little bit more up around here. I'm just very gently touching the edge of my palette knife on the canvas, and just I'm basically allowing the canvas to take the paint off. Okay, I'm not kind of pressing down very hard. I'm allowing the canvas to just grab the paint more so. And let's just go off up into the distance, way up here, and leave it disappear. Okay. I think we're good with that for now. We could just maybe run our soft brush over that very lightly. If you want, just to soften them back slightly. Okay. We are onto this beautiful cliff. That's the next job. And I think I might start with the dark cliff areas because I'm excited to get those in. I'm excited. So I'm going to look at the colours here now. It's kind of very deep dark blue, isn't it, in that side. So I'm going to take a nice size brush. It's not a large brush. It's probably a medium to large brush. Get a bit of blue, a bit of black, and some white. Then a touch of magenta. Again, we'll try this and see what we think. It needs to be much darker, doesn't it? Let's get black, magenta, and then a tiny touch of blue. So we'll play around with the colours and just have a little bit of fun. So let's just bring it down like this. Just get our line, just very, very loosely, if you know what I mean. Take a bit of blue in there. So what I would say is when you're painting a dark cliff like this, a very deep blue makes a lovely shadow. Because if you look at this reference photograph and you look at these cliffs just in here, you'll see rather than it being like a black, it's actually a very deep purple, the cliff. And it just makes a much more pleasant colour to look at for a deep shadow, because if you just go with black or a browny kind of a black or something like that, it may tend to look a little bit washed out. So that's why I'd always use a kind of a deep purple like this first, and then I'll add in maybe like a couple of deep browny blacks here and there, just for the deep areas, for the dark kind of corners in here, and then just kind of feather it down. Because we will be putting on lights in a moment, some nice bright highlights. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It doesn't. No, we're only just making a nice representation of a scene, aren't we? That's all we're doing. Okay, so it kind of comes down at an angle like this. They all seem to kind of fall down at an angle. And then there's going to be nice highlights on these afterwards. I'll get these small little details with a pointy brush later on. Okay, so we have come up here now. This is kind of a green, it's kind of a dark area in here. And what I'm doing now is, while I have the dark colours on my brush, I'm going to put in darks wherever I see darker shades, just to have them in. It just saves a bit of hassle. I'm going to take some Naples yellow, and I'm going to soften some Naples yellow into this one over here. And those cliffs, they come right out like that, don't they? And notice I'm kind of bringing the brush strokes in the direction of the cliff as well at the same time. Maybe a bit of Sienna, a little bit of warmth. And this again is just all the early stages of the painting. It's the very, very early stages. I am going to go into some magenta and a little bit of white, because I see a hint of a pinky shade going on in all of these cliffs. There's a soft pinky shade. I don't know if you could see that or not. Maybe some black and some magenta. It's just a beautiful shade. It's like a pinky grey dark colour. And I will add some of that to the other ones over here as well, just to kind of bring the colours together. So it kind of, see, it kind of comes over like that, doesn't it? Comes down. And they almost kind of merge together slightly, don't they? Okay, so next I'm going to turn my attention to, I think some of the lights and darks in the cliff. We try and get some form in the cliffs. What do you think? Let's try it and see. Let's try and make it look like a nice rocky cliff at least. I'll try some, first I'm going to go with some burnt umber and a little black. And I just want to kind of create some form, just get some of the really, really dark parts in. Just follow the line of some of these little dark spots just to create the impression of these dark kind of ridges and stuff in amongst this cliff. Okay, this comes out slightly and comes down, doesn't it? Just like that. And let's get a bit of black, put a bit of black in there. It's always going to be darker down towards the water, isn't it? As with most things, it does get a little bit darker as it comes down towards the water. Now I'm just kind of doing this very loosely. It's you know, I'm going to be allowing for a lot of lights, highlights as well. There's going to be a lot of highlights in this, so I'm not too kind of worried about getting it all absolutely perfect. Get a bit more burnt umber, just a bit of darkness down towards the end, create that nice rocky feeling. You can see it's starting to come together. It's starting to get there, so to speak. This is a long process. You know, it takes a while, all this kind of stuff, and I'm just taking my time. I'm in no hurry whatsoever. I want to, you know, take my time and do it nice. I don't want to kind of go rushing through all of this. Let's go a little bit down here. I'm going to add a bit of purple in here as well, just to complement this side. So bringing similar colours throughout the painting is very important, I would say. So these kind of, you see that kind of a bluey shade, that will complement the other side then. So it's just tying everything together. And I think that works a little bit better now, doesn't it? So there we go, we're getting there slowly. I think now I'm going to start adding some highlights over here, just here and there, nice light colour. I'm going to go for a very light kind of a blue, okay? And it's kind of a luminous blue. That's what I'm going for, a very bright, luminous kind of a blue. So just blue and white. Let's try it and see. Let's just see if this works. I'm going to start dabbing now like this just for a moment. Just dabbing the tip of the brush, a lovely soft flat brush. Let's get one here. And let's just kind of stop and stand back and see if you think it works. And if it doesn't work, you can try something else, okay? But I think that's not too bad. I'm just catching some highlights here and there. Just a few. You know, I'm not going to go absolutely crazy with these, but I do want to just give it a kind of a vibrant feel. Okay, a couple there coming down vertical, one or two there. And I will kind of go back to my more detailed pointy brush later on. I just want to try and get the bulk of it done with the flat of this brush, because it just gives a nice stroke, this brush. So we have a little bit more separation there now, don't we? I'll clean that brush, just give it a wipe on some tissue, take off as much of that blue as possible. And I'm going to come over here. It's a very light colour. Sometimes it's very tricky to pick which colours you want to use. When you look at a photograph, what happens is all the other colours are coming into play. So it's very difficult sometimes to isolate one colour. And I'm just trying to separate that colour now and just kind of try. I'm just going to try this and see. I have a bit of Naples yellow, a little touch of cadmium red. Okay, so my microphone went completely dead. I ran out of power, so I will have to finish this with a voiceover. My apologies, but we'll be fine. We'll get there. Look, anyway, I'm focusing on the lights of the cliff, and I just want to lighten them slightly. You see that beautiful sunlight that we have there on the tip of this cliff? The sun is coming across and catching the rock. So I'm just going to add a bit of light starting from the top down, and just kind of again following the direction of the cliff. So just continue bringing your brush strokes in a downward motion, following the line of the cliff. So let's just dab a little bit of light across the top of those. Again, I'm just being very, very loose with all of this. Just a kind of a loose impression, and just a little bit here and there on the tips of some of those rocks, so you can see the sun is catching the rocks in certain places. But again, I'm not going for huge detail here. It's just literally a suggestion of some light. That's all it is. So just take your time, have a bit of fun with this. We'll get some more cadmium, some more burnt sienna and some Naples yellow, and I'm going to transfer some of that over to the far off ones as well. It just helps tie the painting together, and it ties the cliff together, because what you don't want is one cliff completely different to the other one. So that's what I find with a composition. So bringing those colours throughout the painting is very important. Let's move on to this front one down here. Some Naples yellow and a little bit of burnt umber as well, a little touch of burnt sienna, and let's just add a little bit of warmth into this cliff down here. So again, following the lines just right down, be again very, very loose. Don't be too restricted with your brush strokes, and try not to get it too perfect. Just have a bit of fun. Grab some more Naples yellow, and I might go into a little bit of cadmium yellow perhaps as well, just for more sunlight. But again, I'm just being quite loose with all of this. But it's coming on quite nicely, I think. I do like them dark spots around the back where it catches the shadow. That's quite nice. Okay, Naples yellow, touch of cadmium yellow, and a touch of white. Now that's going kind of a mucky colour, so I think I might grab a hint of burnt sienna just to counteract that muckiness. Let's just go in there and fill the rest of this in. And we're getting there. We are getting there very, very slowly, but we take our time, and we're just enjoying it. We're enjoying this. Now let's get some black and some burnt umber. As it goes off then, and especially down towards the bottom there, as you can see on the photograph, it gets quite dark, doesn't it? So I'm going to begin adding some dark colours down towards the bottom of all of these cliffs. Just refining some edges. Now let's grab some black and go along the bottom of this cliff. Typically with a cliff, you'll notice they always get quite dark towards the bottom. So I always tend to add a little bit of black or burnt umber or something like that right down along the very base of the cliffs. And I'm just softening it along, again following the direction of the cliff. That's very important. Always follow your brushstroke in the direction that the cliff is falling down. That just makes it a little bit more believable, I suppose. Let's grab some lots of thick black now and just go over there and just outline some very dark areas. And again, just very loosely, just kind of tapping your brush along. There could be a couple in the water as well. Let's just kind of dab a few. And we're almost there, really, I would say. Just finishing up now, just putting a little bit of black colour down along the base of the cliffs. And later on, I will be putting some splash up onto those rocks as well. I think a little bit of splash is nice. I like doing a bit of splash. It gives it a bit of character, I think. So just keep dabbing some dark colours. A little bit of purple is nice as well. So a little bit of magenta mixing in with that blue, that will give you a nice kind of a rich warm colour. And purples in the shadows always help. They always give a lovely shade, I think, rather than just having pure black as a shadow. A little bit of purple is nice, I think. So just dab some black right along the base, soften it up with your brush very loosely. And I am looking forward to doing part two, I'll be honest, because those lovely rich bright green colours, they will really bring the painting together, so it's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned for part two, don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. I hope you're learning a bit about painting cliffs and rocks and that kind of thing. Now let's take a soft brush and very gently just soften some of the brush strokes out. Not all, I just want to kind of soften them away off into the distance very slightly, rather than having just very thick kind of brush strokes on the paint. I like to soften things ever so gently. I think it helps. It gives it a certain kind of character, I think, when the colours are slightly softened together. So very gently. Just drag a very soft brush very lightly over your cliffs. And my friends, I'm going to call this part one finished. I'll be right back with part two. Do not go anywhere. I'm just finally taking some black paint. I was going to put some dark lines in around here, but I realised my microphone wasn't recording, so let's call this part one finished. I'll be right back with part two, my friends. Thank you so much. Do not go anywhere, and thank you for your support.